Hey everyone. So this is episode 5, I suppose. Instead of talking about a food, I'm going to talk about a food group. Now, I haven't any notes when I do some of these because I'd rather it sort of be like I'm talking to you as my friend and trying to help and advise you at the moment. So that means I'm probably going to forget some things, but I'm going to do my best. So today, I'm going to talk about protein, which is what I would consider the structural backbone of our diet. At the moment, a lot of us are at home for good reason. Social isolation is one of the most important strategies that we have at the moment to curtail the spread of this virus. And I'm really happy to see some countries now are following suit. So that means we're at home a lot more. And from a nutrition aspect, there's a danger that we might lose structure a little bit. I think at the moment, structure and routine are really, really important just to give us something that makes the days tick over smoothly and keeps us focused. But it can play out a lot in our food patterns where I feel it's really important to definitely maintain the structure of breakfast, lunch, dinner, and possibly your snacks there if you're used to eating them. And for children too, it's very important that we maintain that frequency. It's important that we do our best to keep up with our protein intake. That's the one thing that sometimes can slip, especially if there's only one or two of us at home working. We can get a little bit lazy with our meals, and protein is one of those food groups that takes a little bit more effort to make sure that we have it in the house. So what are proteins? Well, think about your poultry, so your chicken, your turkey, your eggs, hen eggs, duck eggs. Then we have fish, which obviously is going to be a bit more challenging. So if you haven't got fish in the freezer, we're looking at canned fish. Then we have our red meats, our grass-fed, which I'm always a fan of, grass-fed meats and organ meats. We sort of over the past month have bought a little bit extra to keep a stock in the freezer. I have a lot of organ meats in there. I'm just very mindful of not placing a stress on the whole supply system, and I know that if I go in and buy some heart or tongue or beef cheeks, that's quite a handy one to buy. It wouldn't be the most popular buys for people, but these foods are actually incredibly nutritious, so we would consume quite a lot of organ meats anyway, but because they're packaged frozen in the butchers, I've put a few more in the freezer. Then we have our beans and lentils and legumes, which I spoke about yesterday. Our tofus, our tempehs, and then our dairy products. Dairy can be tricky. It's going to go off. And at the moment, we really should be limiting the number of trips that we make to the stores to perhaps once a week or even once a fortnight if we really want to make a dent in how this virus is spreading. So think about either making yogurts at home and using UHT milk. I actually don't. Is that possible? I might have to ask some people there because UHT milk is ultra heat processed. So I'm assuming with the probiotic you would still be okay and that it will still culture and grow. But yeah, you may need to think of ways to be a little bit smarter or drop your dairy down. We don't eat much dairy in this house. One of us would add it to coffee, so we have the UHT milk in the house now. I would have occasional bits of cottage cheese, so I sometimes use coconut milk as a substitute for my yogurt or my cottage cheese. Now, probiotic yogurt is a great food for us at the moment because it provides us with live bacteria, which are going to help support our immune system in the guts, which then has a direct impact on our lungs and our immunity there, which is the first line of defense against a virus. This is known for influenza. Now it's SARS-CoV-2. Of course, we're in completely new territory, but I would expect that eating to support our guts is going to be very, very important right now. So if you can, make your own probiotic yogurts or kefirs or kombuchas at home. I'd highly recommend this. Have I covered all the protein sources? Obviously, things like nuts and seeds are going to add some helpful protein. Even peas, so your frozen peas are going to be helpful too. But I would have a think about how you can stock these up in the cupboards, your freezer, so that you're not relying on the fridge and products that aren't going to have a long life. Like I said, we need to stay out of the stores. Why is protein so important? Well, protein, if you think of it as structural and functional, which means that it helps build, maintain, and repair the physical structures of our bodies, so our bones, our ligaments, our tendons, but also things like our neurotransmitters, our immune system compounds. There's heaps of them between our antibodies and our cytokines and our tumor necrosis factors and all of these busy body chemical messengers that are involved in our immune system function and in the inflammatory response. They would be mostly made up of amino acids, which come from protein. Our neurotransmitters, so keeping our moods happy, it's going to be important that we have adequate protein in the diet. Hormone balance, obviously we're under a lot of stress at the moment, whether we think it or not. The unknown is out there, and that does challenge us as humans. We like to have certainty, and nothing at all is certain right now, except for maybe what you decide to cook for dinner. So these proteins are really important. Structurally and functionally. And another cool thing in our body that is made from protein are our enzymes. They create all the chemical reactions that are happening in our bodies. So it's really important that we match our protein needs at the moment. Now, I'm not a big fan of giving grams per kilograms recommendations because they just don't translate into real worlds for most of us. So what I would say is for adults, we should be getting, for the girlies, 1 palm size, and for the men, 2 palm sized portion sizes of protein with most of our meals. So breakfast, lunch, dinner, we want to be trying to get some protein in. And as well for our children, we want to really encourage them at the moment to try and eat well so that their immune systems are staying strong. So trying to include some protein in with breakfast, lunch and dinner is important. If that sounds a bit of a challenge for breakfast, then maybe as you get to the mid-morning snack, try and encourage something there. So what are we talking about? We're looking at eggs. They could be scrambled, poached, boiled. We're looking at maybe some quality sausage or some, as we get through the day, we could have our beans and lentils in our soups or casseroles, or we could have a portion of chicken or fish or canned fish. So it's just trying to get it in frequently. Then there's things that can add to the protein intake, like hummus, nuts, seeds, bits of yogurt or hard cheese. Cheese would be one that will last a fair amount in the fridge too if we make good choices. So it's just trying to get, when I'm preparing a meal at home, I'll think about what protein or am I going to use first. At the moment, we're sort of, well, even before now, we were doing a bit of a rotation between our animal proteins and our vegetarian or vegan proteins, just to create balance across the week. So in my mind, I will always think first, what is the protein content of the meal going to be, and then I will sort of structure things around there. Often I will try to make whatever I prepare go the distance for a couple of meals, which I think can be really helpful right now. So I made a meat slow cooker dish on Sunday, beef cheeks actually, delicious, and that will go the distance for 3 days, and probably tomorrow I'll make a bean curry. So think about how you're going to get your proteins in across the day, and I'm going to cut the video short now because I keep hitting the 10-minute mark and creating a whole world of troubles with trying to load this. So think about getting your proteins in. They're important. Prioritize them. Scatter them across the day, and vary them between different sources. So every meal doesn't have to be an expensive meal. Start to get a little bit creative, and I'm here to provide you with support if you have any questions. Lots of love and mind yourself, guys.